the Overnight Underground Podcast. Here's the headlines. Coronavirus has gone to shit. The new Instacart scam. No more shaking hands ever.
No.
Utah's borders get tighter. Your dog is safe. And Yelp employees need help. These stories and more coming up on today's Overnight Underground News. I'm John Ford. Coronavirus in poo? It's more likely than you think.
Ew.
It seems that COVID-19 is showing up in Massachusetts sewage at higher levels than originally expected. I wonder who in their right mind goes around expecting high volumes of virus in sewage in the first place. According to the website Stat, this suggests that there are probably more undiagnosed patients than previously believed. You don't say. Researchers from BioBot Analytic and MIT believe the samples of said poo in these sewers contain coronavirus particles that show some 2,300 people could be infected with the virus in the area, even though the confirmed cases in the region were only around 450. What a job. Sloshing around sewers looking for coronavirus. Go to MIT, they said. Get a nice cushy Ivy League job, they said. And here I am, trudging through the sewers, looking for pandemic in the rivers of fetulence. Now this is pure evil. Consumers are luring Instacart shoppers with large tips, then reneging, changing the tips to zero. As crazy as it sounds, we live today in a world where going grocery shopping can result in death. So lots of consumers have been having others do the shopping for them. And one way to get the job done quickly is to dangle large tips, say in the order of $50 or so, to get the Instacart shoppers to pick the high tippers as customers first. According to reports on CNN, the problem is that once the groceries are delivered, those big tips often disappear from the Instacart shoppers' digital wallets. I'll say this once. Stop treating people like crap that are helping the economy and you to overcome the COVID disaster. Besides, it's a pretty stupid scam to play on someone who knows your address, moron. Dr. Fauci, coronavirus's first official bobblehead, went on record that no one should ever shake hands again. Fauci made this statement on a Wall Street Journal podcast this week.
When you gradually come back, you don't jump into it with both feet. You say, what are the things that you could still do and still approach normal? One of them is absolute compulsive hand washing. The other one is you don't ever shake anybody's hands. That's clear.
I say we move on to finger guns, or just give each other the finger. In a scene straight out of a post-apocalyptic B-movie, workers on New York's Hart Island are burying the dead in mass graves.
Would you like to join us in the garden?
Could we dig some graves?
Around a dozen workers in hazmat suits were spotted digging the graves and stacking coffins in New York's Potter's Field. Officials in New York City announced that they had little choice but to bury COVID-19 patients in the city's cemetery. The coronavirus death toll in Gotham on Thursday stood at just under 5,000. If you were planning on visiting Utah anytime in the near future, you better have your papers in order, Buster.
Your papers, please.
The governor of Utah, Gary Herbert, issued an executive order requiring adults entering the state to disclose their travel plans. The order went into effect this morning. Personally, my travel plans include not traveling to Utah. But if I had to go, I got a plan all laid out. I can hear it now. What's your purpose of your visit? Me? Well, I'm just picking up a six-pack of wives.
But that's bigamy!
Yes, and that's big of me, too.
In Florida, barbershops have been shuttered and deemed a non-essential business by the governor. So, if you want a haircut in the Miami suburb of Hialeah, you're spit out of luck. That is, unless you're part of a privileged class. The Miami Herald reports Hialeah Police Chief Sergio Valdez, I have no idea, thought his popo were looking a little ragged. So he arranged for one barber to continue to cut the police department's hair. The chief said that it was, quote, imperative that our law enforcement officers project an image of command and authority. I agree. It's vital, when the nation is threatened by a worldwide pandemic, that your goose steppers look their best. I wonder if donut shops are considered essential. In a somewhat related and just as insane story, Governor Newsom of California practically declared his state seceded from the Union and California a nation state. Well, sort of. Speaking on MSNBC, Newsom said this concerning his state acquiring medical supplies.
We're not looking at gouging the fraud and the abuse in this space, competing against other states. We decided enough's enough. Let's use the power, the purchasing power of the state of California as a nation state. We did just that. And in the next few weeks, we're going to see supplies at that level into the state of California and potentially the opportunity to export some of those supplies to states in need.
Oh, wait, what?
As a nation state.
Somehow, all this went right over the head of MSNBC's talking head and Rhodes Scholar Rachel Madcow. And here we all thought Texas would be the first state to declare independence. You know, it sounds to me like the governor has been taking advice from Lex Luthor a little too literally. Yeah, let them secede. They'll be back begging for Uncle Sugar's help when everything's on fire again. Well, here's one piece of good news on the coronavirus front. Your dog appears to be exempt. Your cat, however, might be screwed. A new report from the World Health Organization states that dogs appear not to be vulnerable to the virus, but cats are susceptible to coronavirus. The researchers found that dogs, chickens, pigs, and ducks, it sounds like Animal Farm, are not likely to catch the virus. Of course, the World Health Organization are the same folks that said there was, quote, no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of COVID-19 just a few months ago. So, no, it's probably not safe to go back to eating dogs. One windfall to the whole coronavirus nightmare, there is a chicken wing glut in the U.S. Chicken wing sales hit the floor with the canceling of the NCAA basketball tournaments. Next to the Super Bowl, the tourneys generate the greatest sales for wings. The Washington Post reports that wings are being sold for a little over $1 a pound, roughly half of what they sold for during the Super Bowl. It seems chicken wing-based restaurants like Hooters and Wingstop are, of course, shuttered and only selling their delicious and spicy chicken appendages as delivery items. Until sports return, chickens across the nation finally have a reason to be chirpy. You think you got it good, getting margaritas and chicken wings delivered during the COVID-19 meltdown? In Mexico, nightclubs are allegedly offering home delivery entertainers, or as they're commonly known north of the border, hookers. You have to wonder, did they arrive on a donkey?
That's bad, right?
Yeah, that was bad. Oh, and just for the record, prostitution in Mexico is legal under federal law. But as Mexico tackles with its own coronavirus-related shutdowns, The Hill reports that women's rights groups are claiming that the women and girls being advertised for their sex services are, quote, being exposed not just to being infected with COVID-19, but also to different forms of violence. As of Wednesday, Mexico has reported over 3,000 cases of coronavirus. Can't afford your rent? No worries. Sexual favors may fix the bill. A government report in Hawaii is noting that there has been an increase in the number of women reporting landlords who have been suggesting to their tenants that sexual favors will be accepted in exchange for rent.
Ring, ring, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more.
9 News Australia reports that roughly 1/3 of renters in the U.S. were unable to make their rent in April, leading to landlords allegedly using the crisis to prey on tenants' financial difficulties during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yelp announced this week that it will be laying off 1,000 employees. And according to the CEO, it's all due to COVID-19 and its, quote, impact we've seen on consumer behavior. Yelp is also furloughing another 1,100 workers, reducing hours for many others. Yeah, no kidding. It's hard to get your social media chattel to review restaurants and bars when you can't step one foot inside them. Not to mention that your revenue stream is advertising from those very establishments that are effectively shut down. Not a pretty picture for Yelp. Maybe they could change the name of the company from Yelp to Help.
N-E-W-S.
A mostly correct and occasionally incomplete transcript and links to reference sources and articles of this Overnight Underground can be found at overnightunderground.com.